All right, today we're back in the Hardware 3 Model Y, and I actually noticed the other day when testing the holiday software update that on the dash cam when we saved it at night, there was a lot of like blooming on the lights and stuff like that. So I think that it's worth trying to clean the cameras again and do a more thorough job of all the cameras, clean them all, do another camera calibration, and see if that fixes our problems. We have had tons of problems with FSD 12.6.4 on our Hardware 3 Model Y. I've done the camera cleaning interior camera cleaning before, and I have cleaned all the cameras outside and camera calibrations over and over and over again after each update. And actually, after this last holiday software update, I noticed that it was acting horribly. Just a lot of hesitation around everywhere, not staying in the lane. Just all the normal things that we had problems with before on our Hardware 3 Model Y on 12.6.4. I have heard other people that have, great experiences on 12.6.4, and it's like a lot like version 13. It is supposed to be a version 13 light or mini. However, that has not been my experience, unfortunately, since we got the update to 12.6.4. And really, it was pretty much that update. Even point releases slightly before that, like 12.6.1 or 2 or whatever that we got, didn't seem to have these problems. But once we got 12.6.4, all kinds of problems. It would not keep the speed. It would hug the left side of the lane, and does all kinds of weird hesitation things that are really awkward. So we're today going to clean all the cameras again, try to see what it looks like before and after, do a camera calibration, and also test it out. So I am going to clean the camera housing, the inside of the camera housing in the interior here. Now, I already made a video previously on this, so go check that out. That shows how to actually open up the camera housing here inside the vehicle, as well as clean that out. I am going to do a more thorough job of trying to clean off the actual lenses of the cameras. So before, I just cleaned off the glass in front of the cameras, and possibly that is the reason why it didn't really have much impact. Apparently the off gassing that comes off of just when you have a new vehicle, any new plastics and all those materials, the new car smell, like that's kind of the off gassing of all of the materials that have been built into the car, all the manufacturing. So that off gassing actually creates a haze over the camera housing as well as on those camera lenses. And it's especially bad within that housing because you never clean that off. You only clean the windshield off in front of you, obviously, because you're like, oh, it doesn't look very good, so I'm going to clean off the windshield, and you clean it on the inside and the outside of the windshield, but you never clean the actual glass that's in that camera housing. So that's what we're going to do today, along with actually cleaning off all the other cameras around the car and do that test. So I'm not going to go ahead and video all of the camera housing cleaning because, of course, I already did that. And again, I'll link that other video below, but we're just going to test it before and after. And starting with, I have a little vision test here, so we're going to check that out. All right, so first off, we do have the option here in the service menu to do a camera visibility test. And of course, it says there's no visibility issues detected, which honestly, I would just clean like the other cameras just to see and see what the difference is. But especially the front ones. We're going to do a test on the front ones. You can do a camera preview. So I'm going to do that now. And of course, it's going to have me in the car here as the default. So there's that one. Then the main camera. So I put a test, an eye exam test here up on the wall in our garage. So we can see how if it gets any crisper when we clean those camera lenses. So the wide, not very good. But I mean, you can see like even even the lines here for the heating up the camera housing, they have the little strips there that heat up the glass to prevent like frost and fog and that sort of thing. So you can see them. They're pretty blurry. I don't know if they're going to be less blurry if we clean it, but that's going to be something to look out for. And then on the narrow view here, we can clearly see this eye exam test. And right now it does look a little bit blurry. I noticed very much at night the difference in camera quality. In fact, in night, I would have been hard pressed to drive with that kind of vision. So honestly, I was impressed that it was even doing as well as it was. We'll go ahead and we'll clean all of these cameras. I'm not sure whether we'll see any differences of these, but this one even looks hazy though. I mean, if you look at this one, this is the backup camera, and it definitely does look, you know, it looks hazy. Yep. So like I said, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to take this camera housing off right here, and we're going to clean underneath it as well as the camera lenses. So we did clean the camera housing, so it should be better. We will see. Still no camera visibility issues detected. Of course. Camera preview, interior. Here I am. I did clean off the interior camera, although it doesn't really matter. All right, here's the main camera. It does look a little bit sharper. Wide angle to me looks the same. Now I cleaned interior, you know, in the camera, in the camera housing, as well as I did clean actually all the cameras outside as well, or the glass on the outside. So that looks, so the narrow here, I mean, it's hard to say, but I kind of feel like maybe it's a little bit sharper. It's tough to tell. I'm going to try to do some comparisons with the nighttime dash cam. That'll be the real tell, I think. So can't tell anything in the left door pillar, left fender. I mean, I cleaned off all these cameras just for good measure, but none of those I really see any difference in. The rear camera though, that I can actually tell is much crisper. Again, didn't really matter, but I did clean off the rear camera just to make sure that we did have all the cameras cleaned. So now what we're going to do is actually go for a drive to calibrate the cameras. And so what we'll actually have to do is do a camera calibration. It does take up to 100 miles, it says. It's not going to take 100 miles, I'm sure. It doesn't usually take 100 miles. It usually takes like 5 to 10 miles. But we're going to clear the calibration, go ahead and go for a drive, and then hopefully, if all goes well, FSD 12.6.4 will just start working like it's supposed to. All right, so I've been using Grok for navigation, and actually it works pretty well for multi-stop. When I first tried it, it didn't seem to do a very good job at multi-stop navigation, but this time it was actually able to do that. And you can actually change each stop however you want. You can tell it which order. So actually, I'm actually pretty happy with the Grok navigation. It's something that I haven't used a whole lot. It's new on the holiday update. Basically, I'm just going to go around the block and get the FSD camera calibration ready to go. So right now, it looks like it's 50% or a little bit over 50%. So we'll check back in and see where we're at. I went ahead and restarted the trip. I'm only at 0.8 miles. I'm still guessing it's like 5 to 10 miles before we get the camera calibration set, but once we do, we'll go ahead and test it out. I really do think that this Grok navigation is just a peek into how we're going to be able to use AI basically to control everything on the car. So that's going to be a nice addition to basically right now what I have to do is type in the destination. I can actually try to, you know, use voice to say the destination, but I still have to tap add and all that, With Grok, I can actually change the route, change the destination and everything, and it actually comes back pretty quickly. It's not perfect, obviously, but I still like this versus just using the regular navigation. So once we're able to control like the temperature in the car, and I don't know, maybe we could control what the FSD setting is between Sloth and Mad Max or whatever, and those sort of things. Once we're able to control all the things with Grok AI in the car, that's actually going to be a really nice way to be able to communicate with the car, especially once we get to basically unsupervised, where we could just talk to the car and tell it what we wanted it to do. So this is a nice small peek into the future. And we're a little bit over 75% of getting the camera calibration complete at 4.7 miles. All right, so after about, let's see, 7.5 miles, we do have the camera calibration complete, so we can use FSD. We're going to go ahead and navigate to the Publix that we were originally. We're just going around in circles. Turned on FSD now. It is a 45. It immediately started to slow down, which is a little bit weird. However, we are in the middle of the lane, so that was good. See how we're doing on this street. So again, it can be hands off, which is nice. Even on 12.6.4, it's hands off, so we don't actually have to use the hands on the steering wheel to make sure that it knows that we are paying attention. It's just using the eye tracking. So this is a 45 or 40 mile per hour zone actually, and we're going 45. So that's not bad. We can't choose between, this is actually has the maximum speed. We can't choose between different assertiveness at this speed on 12.6.4. So it's basically just going whatever speed it feels is appropriate from this road. And, I guess 45 is, 46. That's not bad. So we'll just, kind of keep going around here and see how this FSD is doing now that we have all the cameras cleaned. And actually, I can tell, I cleaned all the cameras. So the rear camera and the two side view cameras, they look actually a lot nicer. I mean, obviously, they're going to look more crisp now that we did actually clean them off, But the real thing I'm talking about here is, will it stay centered in the lane? And that is about the forward-facing cameras. And I guess probably the side repeaters. I don't know. But I'm just pulling up the side repeaters here in order for us to see how centered it is on the lane. The speed seems to be pretty nice. I mean, this is a 35. We're going, 41 here. So that's not bad at all. I mean, honestly, it's a little bit quick, which I'm not opposed to. I can always set the max speed here on 12.6.4 if I want to. So if I feel like it's going too fast on 12.6.4, I actually have the maximum speed setting, which I do not have on version 14, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm so far pretty happy with its ability to stay centered in the lane. That was our problem before, is it wasn't centering. I think we're navigating to Publix. We're going to see if it actually parks at Publix, and then we'll maybe use Grok to get us a new destination. That'd be nice. See what it does. So it is able to actually park, or it will attempt to either stop curbside in front of Publix, or it will attempt to park. It's not actually supposed to be able to park well. on FSD 12.6.4. So I'm not going to judge it if it ends up parking very strangely. That's totally fine. In fact, even with 14, a lot of times I prefer to just park it myself once we get to our destination. So no problem. We're going pretty slow here, which is not bad. Looks like maybe we're going to try to park here. Going down this lane here. Oh, we are at Publix. Here is a parking spot. And it's definitely not going to go left. Okay, turn off the turn signal. Maybe it's going to take their spot here. I don't know. Yes, it's going to take their spot. So they got out. That's great. Yeah, that actually was very nice. Everything was done well. Let's go ahead and do one more destination and see how that goes. I don't know. Does it not put itself in park? Because we're definitely in the space. I'm going to go ahead and put it in park.